Well, we got some parts in the mail. I got my gas cap, so that looks pretty good. Haven't tried it yet, but it looks good. We also got the Sediment Bowl. Sediment Bowl, if you guys are not familiar with how Sediment Bowl works, essentially this threads into the bottom of the gas tank and it acts like a filter for any dirt and crap that gets in your tank. So how this works is this portion here threads into the tank itself, and this is a shut off. This is on and off. The fuel comes down into this glass bowl, and any dirt and stuff, dirt or rust or whatever, settles out into this glass bowl. Now you unscrew this thumb wheel, and this wire kind of slides out of the way, and then any dirt and crap in here settles in here. You dump it out, you kind of clean it with a rag, and you stick it back up there. So, but the fuel comes in through this center port, and then the dirt and shit settles out here, and then it also has to pass, the fuel then passes through that screen to go out to the carburetor. And how this on-off works here, now I've kind of broken this loose with a wrench, just so I can do it with one hand. So inside there's a seat. You can kind of see it shiny down in there. That seat sits against, well, that bevel there, that's the seat on this end. So when you screw this in, and the whole brass don't turn, just this end does, you screw this in, and those two seats come in contact, and that stops the flow. Now if you unthread this, well, hell, I'm going to try to do something with two hands here. Let me, give me just a second here. So if you screw that, when you screw that in, that seat contacts and stops the flow of fuel from up here. If you unthread this, open it up all the way, it's not going to focus very well, but there's actually a seat on the back side here and there. So those two come in contact, and if you unthread this all the way out, or open it all the way, rather, it'll seat back here and keep the gas from flowing out and dribbling down your shutoff valve. Now there should be an O-ring in here. I'm not going to take it apart, but there should be an O-ring in there to keep the fuel from kind of dribbling out on its own. But if you've got one that's kind of leaky on an old tractor, or an older Sediment Bowl, when you open your fuel up to use a tractor, open it up all the way, and that will back seat then. So those two seats will come in contact, and that'll keep fuel from dribbling out the back. So if you got one that when you open it up a little bit it starts dribbling, open it up all the way till those rear seats come in contact, and that should solve your problem then. So that's how the Sediment Bowl works. I'm going to put wrap some Teflon tape around the threads here, and get it threaded into the bottom of the gas tank, and we'll work on plumbing that. This will take a 1/4 inch copper line from here down to the carburetor, and I'll show you once I get all that mounted up. Well, there's good news and bad news. The good news is I got it all plumbed in using fittings that I had on hand. That's why it's kind of a jumble there, but that's the good news. The bad news is that Sediment Bowl, the shutoff valve doesn't work right on it, so it leaks fuel, and when you got it closed, it continues to run out. It doesn't close properly, and then also it appears that it's kind of dribbling when you, like I talked about an older Sediment Bowl, if you just open them up a little bit, how they drip. Well, that's what this one did. So I just backed it out to where it, back seated all the way. So we'll see if it kind of clears up. But I got the gas cap on there. And funny thing with these gas caps, check this out. Take that gas cap off of there. Come over here to the radiator. It'll work for a radiator cap too. So, they're kind of interchangeable, but this one says water and this one fuel. So, anyhow, just FYI, if you guys are ever out and you need something, you can swap one back and forth if you had to. But I'm kind of running out of shit to do on this thing, so I think I'm going to go ahead and see if it'll fire up. I'll put gas in it. That should be it. Now, don't have a muffler, so it's going to be super loud if it starts, but I think that's going to be the next thing we do. I'll kind of slap a battery up here and jerry rig that because I don't have one to fit in that hole. Yeah, we'll see if we can get this thing to start. Well, I cranked it before and it wouldn't fire, and I couldn't for the life of me figure out what was going on, so I went ahead and took them plug wires back off and cleaned up the inside of the cap real good. I mean, it was getting fire, it just was kind of intermittent. The plugs, the gaps needed to be set a little better on the plugs. Some of them were about closed up. I cleaned up the inside of the cap, and then I don't know if I had a wire out of whack or what, but I just kind of started from scratch. You know, made sure my firing order was all in line and everything, and hit the button, and it did. It took right off, and as soon as it did, it started making a god-awful racket up here. I shut it down immediately. And what it was this line over here off the radiator. Somehow the fan had picked up this overflow tube and it had drug it over there, and the fan was rubbing on it. So I don't think it did any damage. Nothing leaked out, so I don't think it bent the tube or anything. But I mean, it ran for just a second. So let's see if we can get it to fire up again. So I'm gonna pull out my button, make sure it's in neutral. Pull the starter switch here. There we go. Nope, we're gonna have to give it some fuel. Okay, so throttle it up a little bit, hit it again. A little more. There we go. Hydraulics are working. That's good. That's real good. The thing is not as loud as I thought it would be. So I'm gonna take two hands and well, actually I can probably do it with one hand. I want to disconnect that battery and make sure the alternator's working okay. So let's see if it stays running here. Hey, there you go. All right. So the alternator's working. This thing is keeping itself alive. I'm gonna go take it for a little test drive. Make sure the transmission and everything works. I'll update you here in a while. First gear. Second gear. I bet you really got a good road gear too. Here comes fourth. Yeehaw, buddy. There's the first. Throttle it up a little bit. Throttle won't stick in position very well. Keep your hand on it, sort of. Well, it works. Hydraulics go up and down like they should. Stick the hood on it. Pretty much call this one done. I'll go get that other tractor and maybe take these cultivators off of this one. Maybe take some tires off of this one, put on that other one. But some bitch is running, so pretty well done with it. All right, guys. So if you've seen my other videos on the Farmall Super A, was working on getting that one running, got it running, and actually my grandfather has two of them, and I'm trying to make this one kind of the nicer of the two. So anything good on this one, I'm taking off and putting on this one. So the cultivators, the better set of cultivators are going on this tractor. This is the one he's going to keep. This is the one he's going to sell. And the wheels, the front rubber on this one was a little bit better, so I was just going to change out the wheels. And you see I've got them both laying here. Well, as it turns out, they're not interchangeable. I don't know if it's a model change or if there were different centers available for different years, but this is a 1950, this is a 1951, and on this one, you can see that the face of the center itself is flat, and it took this wheel, and these are riveted on little studs, or not stud. This thing here has got a flat back to it, and that sat flat on this face, and it just bolted on. This one here has got like a wedge sort of deal to it, and you can see those are riveted on, the 3 points there. This one here has nothing, and it uses these wedges, so they are not interchangeable. I was hoping that I would be able to take the wedges and, you know, the wheel and wedges and put them on that one. It won't work. Because this is flat, it doesn't give anywhere for the wedges to engage. So like right here, you can see there's a step for that wedge to sit in. So just a little heads up, if you're thinking about changing the wheels on them, make sure you pay close attention to what kind of centers you've got. You can see this is kind of a dished back end of that, where this one here again is just flat. So it does have like a little indention there, so I don't know if some other sort of attachment might engage there, but I know those wedges will not work. So keep that in mind if you guys are trying to change parts out. Again, that's a 1950, and it's using the wedges. This is a 1951, and it's got the things riveted right on the wheel there. Again, I don't know if it's a model change or what the deal was. And then again, you know, that's been over 50 years, so odds are, you know, this stuff is maybe not original anyhow. So just FYI, you know, I thought maybe I'd save you a little headache, so you don't deal with what I'm dealing with. Took it all apart, and I'm just going to put it all back together the way it was. All right, guys, this is it for this little tractor. You saw where I just tried to change the wheels out, couldn't do it. So wheels and tires stayed where they were. I did change out the cultivators. This portion of the cultivators got changed out. These rods did not. So I did some swapping back and forth and adjusting, and so I got all the shoes on this one now, and this is the better set of cultivators on the better tractor. I changed also this rod. This looks like a homemade pipe. It's a heavy gauge pipe. That come off you know, that went back and forth on these. If you saw me working on that tractor before, you remember that rod had a big old bend in it. This rod did. Well, I beat it all flat. I laid it on the anvil and pounded it out nice and straight. So I got the better rod over here, got the better cultivators. I've made one more set of videos, and you'll see me post that, about mounting the side dresser on here. You remember we picked that up when we got one of these tractors. I think when we picked that tractor up, we had some cultivator parts that I threw in, and side dresser parts. Well, there it is. So stay tuned for one more video on how I put all that together. That was an adventure in itself. But anyhow, that's it for this little tractor. It's going to be for sale this spring. It's a leaky little bastard. It's got you know, just a few little quirks. Remember that gas issue there. Other than that, I mean, it runs good. It starts right up, takes right off. Hydraulics work. So, I mean, somebody's going to make this a nice little tractor. It ain't going to be me. So stay tuned for video on the side dresser on this tractor. I'll be posting that soon. And then my next big project is sitting outside that door. And when I say big, I mean big. It's a big damn project. You'll see me start posting videos on that. So hope you guys enjoyed the videos on the Farmall Super A's here. The next big project, it's an international, but it's nothing like these. And I'll just leave it at that. So stay tuned, guys. Subscribe. You'll see what I'm talking about. It's big.